Hello, my name is Parker Olson, and I am a student at Sacramento State University in the Curriculum and Instruction Master's Program. The title of my research is Enhancing Evidence Based Mathematical Communication Through Structured Support and Collaborative Learning. A little bit about my action research. In my class this year, I was noticing students having a hard time articulating their thoughts behind a problem, how they knew to do a first step, or why they did a step in particular. When asked to do problems that had formulas or step by step instruction, they were able to do well, but when asked to dive deeper into the concepts, we were missing a little bit of that ability to communicate our thoughts, which led to my research question. How does structured support and small group work impact my students' ability to reason, justify, and communicate with evidence in mathematics? During my research, I collected multiple forms of quantitative data. I collected student work samples, observation notes, and student surveys. I only collected student surveys in round 3, the final round of collection. I did not collect any qualitative data in this study. I was not looking to see how my interventions would impact their assessment performance. I was looking to see how they would impact their work quality and communication skills. Taking my quantitative data, I used coding as a way to identify themes and trends. I looked at the work samples and observation notes both separately as well as together, and some of my predetermined codes were things like procedural versus conceptual understanding, missing justification, and things like that, incomplete response, or maybe a completely correct response. After looking at the data using my predetermined codes, I also allowed for new codes and themes and trends to be formed. I didn't want to just go based off what I thought the data was going to show me, but what it actually showed me. Moving into round 1, my interventions were sentence frames, group roles, graphic organizers, and guiding questions. I wanted to focus on communication skills, which is the sentence frames, as well as equal participation in groups, which is why I chose group roles. I wanted students to feel like they knew how to participate in their groups. With these interventions in place, my findings showed that students still struggled using academic language to explain and focused on the procedural rather than conceptual responses. It was easier for them to answer the problem completely using a step by step versus exploring the topics further. Student work quality did improve after they worked with their peers. I allowed students both for individual work and collaborative work. I wanted them to have a chance to form their own thoughts before hearing what their peers had to say. With these findings and interventions in place, my next steps were to add more modeling so students could see how to use instructional supports, as well as keeping students in groups to have that continued practice of their communication skills. Moving into round 2, my interventions were sentence frames with modeling, continued group rules, graphic organizers, and guiding questions. With these interventions, my findings showed that students were completing tasks, but again, only maintaining a surface level conversation. The, the goal for them was task completion versus deeper understanding. Students were adding more reasoning to their responses after working with groups, which showed that they have the ability to communicate their responses to their peers and get into an agreement. And with these findings in place, my next steps were to incorporate more vocabulary into the task to give students more of a chance to communicate effectively. And I wanted to include modeling of how students were expected to work in groups, as I was seeing that the group roles were not having much of an impact on their participation. So moving into round 3, I kept my sentence frames with modeling. I incorporated group rules, again, modeling how I expected them to participate. And a section of the work was all about highlighting and defining key vocabulary. So all students in the group came into the work with a shared understanding of terms. In this round, my findings showed that students were producing matching responses in varying degrees. Whether it was right or wrong, students in the groups would write down the exact same answers, showing me again that maybe they are engaging in surface level conversation. Student responses were much stronger when interventions were more focused and specific. When I gave them specific sentence frames and a one question rather than whole worksheets, students had more of a chance to dive deeper into the concept and engage more with the instructional supports. My overall findings showed that student justification does improve or did improve when students worked with their peers. They had added reasoning in the responses, things like originally they wrote yes, and then that shifted into yes because, and they added a reason why, as well as the focus supports leading to more student use, also improving their justification. There was a continued reliance on surface level conversations to complete the task rather than make deeper mathematical connection. Task completion was the main objective over conceptual understanding, and their communication was solely for the purpose of ensuring that they had matching answers rather than to check on procedure or how their peers arrived at an answer. Thank you so much for watching my video.